Luna here. I'm doing something a little different. I am streaming today's reading of Brown Beyond Borders, Emerging into Golden Multidimensionality live. So I'll be appearing live on Facebook. Haven't been on Facebook in like a decade now. On Substack for my free subscribers for the next 96 hours, so the next 4 days. So welcome to the Audio Lab. Throughout the month of July, I'm running a little experiment. I know so many of you love to listen to your books, and since I'm getting ready to eventually record and publish the official audiobook for Brown Beyond Borders, Emerging into Golden Multidimensionality, I wanted to practice out loud with you first. So every single day this month, I'm pulling up a chair, reading a few pages of my memoir right here until I finish the book. And if you're on the free list, these daily drops will stay open for just a few days before they head into the archives for my paid subscribers. So make sure you keep up. And if you ever miss a session or want to unlock the whole archive to listen at your own pace, you can upgrade to a paid subscription at any time. But today we are continuing, I believe we're in part 3. And yes, we are in part 3 on chapter 9. Chapter 9. So, chapter 9 is called Unleashing Your Inner Power. Now, you might be thinking, easier said than done, Cynthia. My mind is a constant chatterbox. How do I find that stillness? Well, here's the thing. Stillness isn't about emptying your mind completely. It's about creating a space within the chaos, a space entirely for you. This is where you can observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. In those moments, those spaces, you cultivate a gentle dialogue with yourself and move towards an increasingly consistent sense of inner peace, even amidst the storms of life. That's where the real work takes place. The real journey won't have you packing your bags to move halfway around the globe. The real work is about peeling back the layers of conditioning and societal expectations to reveal the authentic, radiant being that lies within. It's about aligning your actions with your core values, living a life that feels true to you, and defining success on your terms. And you'll know that you're succeeding at this inner work because the real you will present herself to you in all her golden hues. When you look in the mirror, the reflection that beams back at you, teeth sparkling, eyes bright, curly hair flexing to the energies of the universe, the glow that shines all around you is pure joy, radiant confidence, unwavering self esteem. You see you. Processing documents. When you come from Washington's world of public affairs, advocacy, public relations, and communications, it's easy to feel that writing is more about processing documents. Nothing I had written at work since graduating with a communications degree in Boston had escaped the machine, the process of vetting, approvals, and sign off. So the role of documents processor seemed fitting somehow and also reassuringly manageable. Okay, I'll apply, I said to Debbie. What did I have to lose? She practically leapt for joy. And I'm not saying that out of exaggeration. It even made me a little wary, but the feel good vibes of my lunch in the muddy parking lot were still active, so I went with it. I closed off the day, continuing my filing, feeling good about the simple, uncomplicated job I had had at that moment, but also tickled that I had been recruited. No one had ever recruited me before, and it felt good. I can't remember what I did or how I applied. All I know is that my interview consisted of going to the hotel's human resources department, filling out a couple forms, and peeing into a cup as a drug test. It was the first time I had ever done that, and also a sign of the place where I lived. People love their pakalolo here. There. In no time, I was saying goodbye to the construction manager and his deputy and saying aloha to a team of young women and men who were responsible for processing timeshare sales documents as quickly as possible without error. The job sounds way easier than it was, But it wasn't hard either. It was more like a sport. First, the processing activity was timed from the point at which a timeshare salesperson made a sale. Buyers would fill out a form that requested their names and addresses, as well as some details about their jobs and income. The salesperson would walk up to our window and hit a bell. One of us would vet the application for accuracy and completeness. And when we felt like everything was in place, we'd turn around and get started and enter this information into the company's database. In short, the initial form resulted in a stack of legal contracts for the customer to review and sign. No errors or typos were allowed. Not all of these forms were spewed out by the database. The year was 2007. Some documents came out of a printer, but others were but others required printing on yellow or blue paper. Some documents were issued by certain government offices, which we needed to feed into a manual typewriter. In those days of document processing, one or two other team members would help by typing up the additional colored forms manually. The database was quirky and had special codes that needed to be mastered. Every keystroke was recorded. The entire process was timed until we returned the whole stack of sales contracts to the salesperson. The goal was to complete everything within 15 minutes. Some team members would complete all this in under 8 minutes. They were favored by the sales team, of course, because this way the customers wouldn't have too much time to think about their six-figure impulse buy. There was nothing creative or strategic about the job. Its parameters were clear: do the job well, quickly, and neatly, and you'll succeed. I quickly learned that the secret to processing documents well and swiftly was to clear the mind. Wipe it clean for the 15 minutes you spent copying text, manually typing in text, and finalizing the stack of papers. Don't think, don't analyze, just process documents. Reporting to my documents processing job was a much needed time of rest for me. The daily mandate was clear. The path to success was straight and narrow. All I needed to do was stay in my lane and be myself. We had a lot of good times in the crammed little office in a back corner of the hotel, looking out onto the parking lot of the resort timeshare hotel. There was my boss, Cicely. She was the top documents processor. She had data entry times that couldn't be beat. About 10 years my junior in the office, she was my clear senior. She showed me some tricks to make sure my entry stats were as clean as possible. Of Japanese ethnicity, Maui-born Cicely had a cute laugh, a Hello Kitty face, and a fierce ability to hone in on the sales team's creative and non-compliant form-filling tricks so her team wouldn't be dinged on their data entry times. Then there was Vanessa, best described as Cicely's deputy. She boasted the same data entry prowess. Neither of them went to college, but both were whip smart, proving that a college degree wasn't the only path to success. Vanessa was also in her early 20s with waist length black hair, a good figure, and large doe like eyes. She told me once she had Portuguese heritage, but she wasn't sure what all was coursing through her veins, ethnically speaking. Then there was Ty. We started on the same day, and I adopted him as my little brother. He was good natured and resembled a young Tiger Woods. Only later did I discover that he also shared the same ethnic background as Woods. Ty and I both came from the mainland United States. I noticed that he struggled a little in the office setting, and I guessed that this was one of his first jobs. This didn't seem like the type of environment for a young, fit person with lots of energy. Our job was to sit still in front of a computer, calm the racing heart, focus on the handwritten application form to ensure a flawless entry. Ty would have been a much better fit for just about any job that required being outdoors, but he was a joy to have around, and the other ladies in the office enjoyed his jokes and tried to help him keep his stats up. Being in that office and looking around at Cicely, Vanessa, and Ty, and every other person who worked on our 10-person team with us was mixed. Chop suey. And that's when I realized what my greatest sense of relief was in moving to Maui. No one ever asked me where I was from. There I am. And pressed to find out where I was really from. With my brown skin, my slightly odd accent, my mannerisms, and mainland ways, I was part of the gang. I fit in. Being in Hawaii, having conversations with a room full of brown people, talking to each other about our dreams and goals, which were as diverse as the people who populated that space, was refreshing. No one wanted to pursue a higher education. Not everyone dreams of career advancement. Not everyone wanted to travel. Based on an informal poll of the room, most people there were content with where they were in their lives. I was making about $15 an hour at the time, so it's likely that those who had been there for years before me might have been making around $20 an hour. That is to say, not significantly more. For my part, all my essentials were covered with that paycheck. Was I able to squirrel away substantial amounts of money in my savings account or a 401k? Not really. Was I able to pay my share of the rent, our car note, groceries, phone bills? Yes. Did I get to spend my free time enjoying my cup of coffee, taking in the weather, watching the whales splash around in the basin of the Pacific Ocean between Maui and Molokai? Yes. So, what was my problem? What was constantly gnawing away at my mind that made me less satisfied than all these people in the room? Looking to Maslow's hierarchy of needs and taking a general temperature of everybody's place on the pyramid, all of us documents processors had our physiological and safety needs met. And I realized that most everyone had their love and belonging needs covered as well. In fact, except for Ty and me, everyone in the room had family on the island. And I mean family with a capital F. That is, parents, siblings, spouses, children, cousins, uncles, and aunties. The gamut. I never had that growing up. Our small family of four, my parents, my brother, and me, had only ourselves to turn for support, community, love, and belonging. That sense of connection might be enough for a young person growing up in a big city like Washington, but once I struck out as an adult and traveled far away from my nuclear family, I had to create my own family around me, whether through marriage, having children, or through my friendships. Being in that room as my fellow documents processors were chattering away about all the things they were grateful for and all the dreams they had, like winning $1 million at the slots in Las Vegas, it dawned on me that I was constantly in struggle with Maslow's need for esteem, not knowing that my unresolved love and belonging needs were holding me back in my life journey. I want to belong. This wasn't something I said out loud to the rest of the documents processing team, of course. They wouldn't have understood what I meant anyway. But as that declaration of my desire resounded unequivocally in my mind, I developed goosebumps. And when I looked around the room of my coworkers, there appeared to be a golden glow around everybody. We are golden. We are the golden ones. The voice stood in my mind, androgynous, clear, unmistakable. In that moment, I knew that the voice was not mine. Yes, it appeared within me, but the voice did not share my mind. Today, I would attribute that voice to universal intelligence or source energy, the stuff that flows through all living beings. But at the time, I knew the voice was not a thought that originated in my mind, but rather a thought that was given to me by my muse or an angel, or let's just chalk it up to plain old inspiration. We are golden children. We will birth golden children. Golden children are the future of the planet. And looking around the room, I could see the tangle of the 10 of us moving around our little cubicles, entering data into computers, adding details in the typewriters, and helping the sales crew sell timeshares to delighted vacationers. Every single person in the room was a mixed blend. We appreciated each other. We enjoyed not quite knowing where the other was really from, while still knowing that we were all one. And that's where we're stopping for today. If you have a question for the about the book, the writing process, or anything we covered in today's segment, just drop it in the comments of this post. I might just answer yours on a future episode. Um, And I'm really glad to get to share this unedited process with you. I'm glad to share it with you while I'm supposed to be in a live. I am going to kind of just check the Substack space just to see if there's something going on here. I don't know. It doesn't look like it. I can't really tell. Yeah, I'm kind of new to this, so bear with me. And then we'll see if, let me see if there are any comments over here. Let's see, I'm going to the chat. No comments in the chat. So I'm just going to assume that ain't nothing going on. Y'all don't have any questions for me. There was some chatter in YouTube the other day that I saw. And top tip, these are still living in YouTube if you've missed some of the earlier episodes, but they are being dropped out and put behind a paywall for now. And the YouTube segments will be sort of sequestered away into their own little world. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with that stuff yet. But at some point, there's going to be an official audiobook that's delivered as an audiobook in the places where you want them, and where you can have them and hold them forever and ever. Amen. So, yeah, if you know someone who would connect with this part of the journey, please share this post with them while it's still open to the public. And if you want to support this audio experiment and my writing as I start drafting book 2, which I really haven't gotten to, but I have really formatted out and formulated all of my thoughts, and they're kind of structuring themselves. So I am making progress. It's just not in the form of drafting at this point. Um, anyway, if you want to support that process as well, consider becoming a paid subscriber to unlock Toto. And thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.